All right, thanks for coming, folks. I'm Rick Ramsey, and this is my friend Janice Critchlow from the documentation group. We're going to talk about what happened to BigAdmin and what's going to be happening with the documentation. So one of the things we're encouraging is participation. And I've got a bet with Dave that I won't get past slide 3 if we have any participation, but we'll see how it goes. I wanted to mention one of the things that started out by saying that I had a conversation with some folks, sysadmins earlier at lunch, who were saying, Oracle only cares about you if you've got a big bag of money. And I suppose Oracle does care about you if you have a big bag of money, but I don't think the only is right because of the kind of work we do in our group, in OTN and in Docs. Because our objective, and we'll get into details of this later on, is to make it easier for folks to go ahead and try out our technologies, to adopt them, to do more things with them. And we put that information out for free, and we encourage people, and we don't ask anyone to show us how much money you've got. So we'll talk about this here, but if you've got any questions about that, go ahead and ask. I don't know how much I'll be able to answer, but go ahead.
We got a big bag of money that
Say that again, what?
we got a big bag of money.
Oh, okay, well, they'll definitely like.
But I'm still not getting the help.
Ah.
I've got pointers for support files and documents that are now no longer there. That are completely broken.
So they used to be in support for Sun, and now they're not available anywhere?
Well, they're no longer where they were previously. They moved. At least we've got to have as a reference to say, oh, we'll move it somewhere else or something.
All right, if you have anything specific, I'll tell you a little bit about what we've done, but if you have anything specific, send me an email. It's rick.ramsey@sun.com, and I'll... Oh, into docs.sun.com, all right.
Yep, I'll talk about that.
I'll put that to Janice at the right time.
Yeah, oracle.com, not sun.com.
Yes, but...
Not quite that simple.
Yeah. All right, so next slide. So here's pretty much the agenda. We're going to talk about what's in OTN, what the plans are for the docs, the purpose of OTN and all that, and then what's still in, what parts of BigAdmin are still BigAdmin, and pretty much where you can find things and where things are where things are better and where things are a little bit messy still. All right? Next one. All right, so we used to have BigAdmin, SDN, at Sun, and now what we've got with with OTN, there's 4 communities in OTN. The one I'm talking about is the one for sysadmins and developers of Sun technologies, the lower part of the stack. So anything from the OS, virtualization on down. And so what we're combining in the system and developer, sysadmin and developer community of OTN is these products here, what was on BigAdmin, the great majority of it, the Solaris developer content that was on SDN, plus the content that's coming from Oracle Linux. So that's all going to be part of the sysadmin and developer community of OTN. And OTN is Oracle Technology Network. Okay? Any questions about that?
Does your membership in the Sun BigAdmin transfer over, or you have to reapply?
There was, you have to reapply, and there was an SD, you had to be a member of SDN, register for that, but not for BigAdmin. BigAdmin, you could be anonymous and look at everything without ever telling anyone who you were.
But if you were global, you transfer.
No, I believe you have, it's a good question. I don't know the answer. I believe you have to re-up, but I don't know. And, go ahead.
Well, I have to, actually, I can use the same login and the same password.
Try it. That was his question. Try it. If it doesn't work, re-register with it.
Right, the same, usually this also, my login, name, same, password is still the same. But you need to register.
You need to re-register? Ah, gotcha, okay. So what you're saying is that you can use your same user ID and password, but you have to re-register.
It is your contact number, whatever you use.
Okay. And, all right, so this is where it's sort of a spectrum of information where OTN fits in. On O.com, you're going to get the latest stuff. They're going to tell you why, this is the business reason why you need to use Solaris, or you need to use the Oracle database, or whatever. All right, if we look at OTN as chapter 2, it's much more technical focus. We assume you already understand why, or are interested in finding out more of what's involved, how do I do it, what options are available to me, what resources do I have, and so on. So we try to move from the here's why to the here's how, and then the rest is the documentation, training, and support. But this is pretty much where we fit in. And the idea, and I don't want to get ahead. Go to the next slide. The general idea is to help you guys figure out, is this a technology I want to adopt? What's involved in adopting it? Is this something that I think, I need, before I go ahead and make a recommendation, I want to know how difficult is this to actually work with? Do I have the skills? Does it seem like it's been thought through? Are there any glitches and things? So it's all about giving you a chance to try something out and see what's involved in using it and deploying it before you actually do it. But overall, in the role it plays in Oracle is that Oracle's now, Oracle likes big numbers. They like to say we're number one in this, number one in that. And we've got the biggest developer community in the world now, with about 15,000 members, and most of that is Java. And by the way, I say developer in quotes because it includes sysadmins, it includes IT managers, IT architects, all right? So the idea is, this is extremely valuable to Oracle. They don't want to just let it go. They want to be very engaged with it, and this is why you've got OTN for it. I think I already covered the other one here, just, get a chance to evaluate it, and also, see get other tips from people, the standard community stuff that you tend to use. You should be able to go to OTN, like you did to BigAdmin, and find out as much information as is available about these products. And if there's stuff there that it's missing, that you wish were there but isn't, then let us know, because we'll try to get it up there for you. Okay. Tech Network, Oracle.com Tech Network is the OTN, the main OTN website, and Systems is the sysadmin and developer community. And there's 4 communities. The big one's for Java developer in terms of numbers. Then the other one's database admins and developers, sysadmins. This is the one that replaces BigAdmin and consolidates the systems data, and then one for architects. The architect one tends to be using a slightly different definition of architect than you find in the systems area. Often a lot of it is business intelligence and some of the middleware architecture. I want to talk about this a little bit. At Sun we had corporate marketing that had PR, marketing communications and all that, and then BigAdmin was in a different group. Here at Oracle, what I found really interesting is that this group, OTN, is inside of the corporate marketing group, of the people that are out there controlling the message, that tell you what font you can use, exactly what messages you can say. They're very strict about how they present Oracle, and yet they have OTN inside of that organization. And they tell us, with the exception of 2 things, full transparency. And we've heard this I've heard it myself from the VPs and everyone above. We want you guys to do your thing, to do the community thing with full transparency. We're not going to sit here and tell you and edit your blogs. My blogs sometimes get out of hand, they get a little irreverent and all that, and they've told me, hey, go ahead, keep doing it. It's, be the community and talk to the community the way they, the way they want to talk to you. So even though it's in corporate marketing, they want this transparency there, because they recognize its value. That to me said a lot when I went into Oracle from Sun. And the 2 areas happen to be legal things. We cannot talk about legal issues because they have legal consequences. And also any kind, legal would be support contracts. We have to point you off to something. So if someone wants to know, what do you guys think about our support contracts, or what do you think about licensing and all that, we can't sit there and have a long discussion about that. We have to point you off to the site where there's the official legal word on it. The other one is, you guys have run into it already, no peekaboos. We can't sit and tell you, Solaris 11 Express is going to be shipping on this date, Solaris 11 on that date, here's what we've got planned 2 years from now. That's just not something Oracle does, and so we've had to get used to that ourselves. Those are the only two restrictions we've been given, and I've heard this from everyone inside of my organization, from all the people up above us within the corporate marketing area. So to me, I can't think of a better endorsement for a community than to have the very people who you would think would be the opposite of community sit there and say, we want you guys in our organization and we want you to do your thing. Next one. It's fairly straightforward, same as BigAdmin. Sysadmin's IT manager plus developers of C++ Fortran applications, the typical developers that you used to have for Solaris apps. The kind of content, I've kind of covered this before already, the downloads, we want you to go ahead and download our stuff, and as long as you don't deploy it, if you're doing something for development, you're trying to build an application to run on Solaris, but and as long as you don't deploy a test environment, there's no charge for it. Again, you'll have to, this is part of the legal thing, you have to go read the licensing agreement. But in principle, there's no charge for this stuff. Try it, see what's involved, test it out, and once you deploy it, that's when you have to actually buy the license for it. All right? We try to provide as much how-to content as we used to have on BigAdmin, and in fact, with partnerships with the Solaris folks and some of the hardware folks, we're actually putting out more content coming from inside engineering and inside technical marketing than we used to before. We've got how-to guides, we've got white papers, we've got all kinds of the usual blogs, we've got videos, all kinds of different things. So we're really trying to get the word out and get the technical information out too. We've got sample code. In BigAdmin, we have the BigAdmin scripts. Here, it's not just scripts, but it's all kinds of other sample code. You can both, for that you have to register, you have to go ahead and log in to see it, but you can go ahead and not just take a look at scripts, but take a look at any other sample code people have uploaded. And if you've got some scripts and sample code you want to submit, go ahead and submit it. And that's at samplecode.oracle.com. Then we've also got, we've got events. There's OTN is all over the place at Open Oracle World, Java 1, all these kinds of things. Lisa, obviously, and several other events. So there's training and all kinds of other things that OTN puts on, and all with the intent to get the word out, get more technical content out. The products, the typical stuff in the second half, in the lower part of the software stack. Same things we had at Sun, but also a strong emphasis on the hardware. Server storage, desktop systems, virtualization, all of the software, Solaris products, the Studio, Solaris cluster, all those kinds of products. That's what we're focusing on. If it's Java, it goes in the other communities. If it's database related, it goes in the other communities. Likewise with some of the like service-oriented architecture content and middleware. Okay, so before I go on to what's left of BigAdmin, I'm going to pass it on to Janice, and you'll talk about the docs.
So it's actually interesting that you asked the question about what's going on with the docs, because of course we're in transition, right, having come from Sun to Oracle, and the key thing that happened is that docs.sun.com got broken in a number of ways, okay, and we're aware of that. The long-term answer, and I say long-term, next couple of months or so, we're going to move all of the information from docs.sun.com over to OTN. So as you can imagine, that's a very big migration. Approximately 1,100 products on docs.sun.com in terms of how it was grouped. Roughly 25,000 books that are all moving over to the Oracle Technology Network. And that is in part because docs.sun.com was just not sustainable in the long run. The system that underlied it, the hardware, so on and so forth. There were a lot of things that just needed to be fixed, and it's going to be a whole awful lot better for you and for us to have all of this on OTN. So what we'll get on the Oracle Technology Network is a single place where all of the documentation will live. And that URL, technetwork/indexes/documentation, will be sort of similar to the docs.sun.com entry point, but we'll also have some additional flexibility in OTN beyond what we had before. You were going to ask something else?
Who's coming out with, look at the slides on the URL. Look at the one that you had. Who's coming out with these ideas?
I understand. And
Can't you link the stuff? Okay, I okay, right, but you moved it. It would have been nice to say, hey, we've moved it here.
Right, so
It's a link, and this
right
is-
now-
Now, I've got guys that are stuff I put together for them, and go, well, I don't know how to do that because the documentation is no longer there.
So let us know specifically which links are outright broken. We do have some things that are, nothing's actually moved yet, okay? Right now, the information that was on docs.sun.com should still be there. It hasn't actually moved yet. However, if it's broken, we need to know why. And we do have a couple of people who are supporting it, and we should be able to get it fixed. So if you will let me know, or any of us who are running around with these little Ask Us About Solaris documentation pins on, let us know specifically what docs you're not finding, and we'll look into it and find out what's going on.
Obviously, I don't have it just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It was at least 6, that only a couple of weeks ago.
Right, yeah, and if you can at least give us an idea of which products and so on, we can hopefully track it down. Right, yeah, I hear you.
Send us an email.
So, right, yeah, you can send Rick an email afterwards, because his email is much easier to get than mine, because everybody's constantly misspelling my last name, including Rick. So, but yeah, if you'll let us know, we'll track that down. So the second piece of this is by moving to OTN, in addition to having this single entry page that includes all of Oracle documentation, so beyond just what we have at Sun, but all of the Oracle products as well. We also have the opportunity to have the documentation more directly accessible from the product pages. So for individual products on OTN, they have a page that has all kinds of information about the specific products. And that includes then links to the documentation itself. So that's going to give us some additional flexibility beyond what we had on docs.sun.com. And one of the things that we wanted to hopefully get from some of you folks tonight is how you think you might better be able to find information. And there's a long history, of course, with docs.sun.com and things like how well the search worked and so on and so forth. But what we're able to do on OTN is provide some more direct access to specific topics in response to what the customers want. So, some input along that lines would be really helpful for us. So as Rick pointed out, one of the other things that we might do in the long term, and this is something that would require agreement across the various different documentation teams at Oracle, which is something like 30 different groups, would be to take that URL, that very long URL that you saw there, and essentially put a vanity URL on top of it to make it much shorter, something like docs.oracle.com perhaps. So that's certainly something that we can look at and see if we can get agreement to do it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So, customers want it, perhaps we can sell it. So I put together a couple of things just to show, as I said, this isn't live yet. So you can't actually go out and find the Sun documentation in the OTM form. If you went to that documentation index page today, what you would see at the top is a link to docs.sun.com. So what we'll eventually have, though, is instead of that docs.sun.com homepage that you see on your left, and to make sure your side, my side, you will have Oracle documentation page on this side, which currently has categories for database, middleware, so on. And we will, of course, add categories for operating systems, hardware, storage. And that will happen sometime in the next few months. Yes. So then, of course, on docs.sun.com today, you have this concept of collections of information. And that concept carries over to OTN, little different terminology. They're called libraries instead of collections. And we have some additional flexibility with them, that those libraries on OTN can potentially include things beyond what you would typically consider in a collection on docs.sun.com. So we can include links to other places. For example, a library page can have, say, system administrator documentation for Solaris 11, and then maybe it will also have some related links to training. It might have some links to product pages. We have some more flexibility now than what we had before. And then, as I mentioned, the other thing is that we have the ability to have the documentation directly on the product pages on OTN, and that's actually a special tab for documentation, and this is one of the pages that we're working on. And as you see, again, you know, very specific targeted links to very specific content. And I think that's all I had. Yep, so let me send it back to Rick.
Is it not flash-based? Is it flash-based or Flash.
The login is Flash based.
It's Flash.
Yes.
Okay. But, I mean, I don't know because I don't know that, but I know that the new replacement for Sunsol is bloody Flash and it's fucking
Oh. Were you asking for the sign-on for when you log in?
Currently, yeah, the new sign-on for Sunsol, for support in general, is Flash based.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it sucks, but you're saying it sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
HTML5, that's all I got to say, HTML5.
Yeah. What are
The documentation itself is fairly straightforward HTML. So if you envision what we have on docs.sons today, which is dynamically generated HTML, it's going to be reasonably similar to that, except that it won't be dynamic anymore. We have to generate it at the release, and then it sits out there, and then we'll update it at some point. But yeah, it's still fairly straightforward HTML. I think it's even HTML4. I don't even think we have any HTML5 in it at this point.
I just one of the bugbears with the change from Sunsol to the fact that we moved to Flash-based setup that doesn't work out.
Yeah, one of the things that we've had to deal with inside of Oracle coming from Sun is that we have a really limited set of technologies, and a lot of them are older, that we use in our RT group to actually support it. And we're hoping that with enough Sun people, we'll educate the Oracle people and say, look, here's the benefit of using these newer technologies to represent our products. But that's going to take time, because Oracle had its IT organization set up for its own web things. And I remember a presentation where they showed us, we were being bought by Oracle. And our IT organization showed us the size of the Oracle web presence, the number of pages, and it was like a tiny little planet. And then on the next slide, it was the amount of Sun web pages that were coming in. And in terms of, if you look at it like the web, it's as if a tiny little planet absorbed the sun. The amount coming in of web pages and web technologies and all that coming in from Sun into Oracle was huge. It dwarfed what Oracle had. So there's going to be, I figure, a couple of things. Some pain in fitting all that in and managing it correctly, and then I hope some growth, some education in the Oracle IT organization about the best technologies to use to represent our products.
I get that. There's going to be a transition.
Uh-huh.
Things are going to change. So, but the old stuff's there for the most part. It wasn't broken. Until you get this new stuff sorted, can we add the old stuff still there so that we can still run? Because if our support guys need a piece of documentation and I've referenced them, my server's down and I can't get to it,
I will.
we get annoyed.
I'll tell you an example I know about personally, and I think you're absolutely right, and I think Oracle should continue to do that. The HCL on BigAdmin, all right? We could not, the IT organization that runs OTN could not support the HCL, because the guy who created the HCL, Robert Weeks, one of the original guys who started BigAdmin, was wicked smart and was very crafty and put together something that other people had a much harder time maintaining. So we said, okay, we can't support it on OTN. There's some talk of it going, parts of it going to my Oracle support, this and that. That'll take them a while. So we said, we absolutely need to have this remaining live. So it's remained live. You go to bigadmin.com/HCL or sun.com/bigadmin HCL, and you'll see it there. They're struggling with few resources in the IT organization to keep it updated, but it is still a priority, and everybody's trying to figure out a way to keep that thing live. I can't guarantee that it's how long it's going to stay up, but one of the things I've been insisting on, and so has everyone in even the Solaris engineering group that does platform engineering, they said this is imperative. We have to keep this thing up until we've got an adequate replacement. Now that should extend to other areas as well, but which ones it does, whether it does, I don't know the specifics, but in my particular example, I would be, put it this way, if HCL suddenly went away because they said we don't want to support it, there'd be huge brouhaha inside of Solaris. I mean, inside of Oracle from everyone in Solaris, not to mention you guys outside. So that general principle I think should be followed, I think will be followed. I can't guarantee that it will be followed in every case. But we will be fighting for that. The folks who understand what you guys need, and the transition will be trying to make sure we do a wing walk, that we don't eliminate something at the same time that the new one is up. And I've seen them do it in other areas, in like Java.net. They did that. They've come up with a new Java.net that has all kinds of new capabilities. They're keeping both up until everyone is used to the new one. So I hope that it gets handled that way and everything else. Okay, so the HCL, it remains up there. I will do everything I can, and I think everyone in Solaris is going to do everything they can to keep that up until there is a suitable replacement for that thing, because that was very valuable to people. And it's valuable as a business tool for Oracle now. The scripts, simply because of bandwidth in the IT group, they're remaining here in the script area. They should be in samplecode.oracle.com, but we don't, and there's like almost 800 scripts in there. We don't have the bandwidth to move it. I've moved a few individual ones when someone has said, well, I've got an update to my script. I published the update on sample code, rather than going to BigAdmin scripts and change it. So little by little, but that's at a snail's pace. There's a project in there requested from the IT group. Let's get this moved, but they operate on a slim budget. All right. The BigAdmin newsletter is changed to the systems community newsletter. If you go to, you'll see a lot of this stuff. If you go to just, oracle.com/tech network, or that's the Oracle Technology Network, and you see 4 big boxes. And one of it is the sysadmin community, sysadmin and developer community. As soon as you get to that, it's like the front page of a newspaper. They've got downloads in one area, they've got some headlines, but on the left you'll see essential links, and all this stuff is on the left there. The Solaris community newsletter, or actually the systems community newsletter, links to all these different things. The BigAdmin blog, and all of the BigAdmin groups on Facebook and on Twitter and all that. We could not keep the BigAdmin name, which was a real disappointment. So we had to start from scratch, and I picked the OTN Garage, kind of just, to get across the idea of, it's a bunch of guys talking technology and sharing tips and tricks, beers, that sort of thing. And that's the spirit in which we put information out. So anytime there's a new article, there's a blog, there's a link, anything we find interesting to you guys, I post it myself on Facebook, on Twitter. Sometimes I blog about it. I'm trying to get more people to join the OTN Garage blog, to blog about things they find interesting. And we're trying to reach folks in whatever way they like to hear stuff. Some folks love Twitter, some folks love Facebook. We're putting stuff up there as a result. But likewise, the newsletter and the front page. A little bit was left behind. There's some stuff that didn't get migrated over, but almost everything did, including Solaris 8, Solaris 9 content. I checked with Dan Roberts and said, can we keep Solaris 8, Solaris 9 content? I mean, do you have a business case for it? And he said, yes. So all the Solaris 8, Solaris 9 content for BigAdmin is there. If you go to a favorite page you had bookmarked, that should take you to the new location in OTN. That's what I thought you were asking about the first time. You're going to find some links that are broken. For those, rick.ramsey@oracle.com saying, where is this thing? And I'll find it for you. I'll let you know and post it up. Some of the stuff is not real pretty. The tabs didn't come across beautifully. We're fixing those a little at a time, but a lot of the older stuff is just the content's going to be there, but it's not going to be as pretty as it was. And some of the links are broken, and there's some areas that just link off to the wrong parts, and that came because of we had a budget for migration, and we had a set of contractors who came in and said, this is what we can do. And that's just the way Oracle does it. They keep a budget, they manage to a certain revenue. So there's a lot of new things that are a lot better, but you'll see some things that are a little bit messed up from the way BigAdmin used to be.